Afternoon everybody, welcome back to the channel. So it's Tuesday afternoon. Yesterday we were down with rain, so we're back at it, kind of a late start, 2 o'clock. Still in the same block, and we are combining conventional X-Stays winter wheat. We've had a few problems with our conveyors, putting away conveyors, but fortunately it's been coming in mostly dry, so it hasn't been too much of a problem as far as output, but it has certainly gobbled up some manpower. So certainly dust is quite bad today, and blowing past the combine and in front, but at least it's feeling all right. It's not the heaviest crop. It's oh, there we go. But where was it? In here you can see our average yield is in mid-eights. So it's quite a good field, but it does grow good black grass, and as a result this is going into winter beans for next year. But so hopefully gives us an opportunity to fight back against the black grass. So that's it for Tuesday. More to follow. Afternoon everybody, Wednesday the 16th. We've actually gone for a late start. It's been off and on, bright sunshine. We could have gone earlier, but it's not our turn to drive the combine today, so I'm driving it instead. It's worth saying that we're sharing a support team, so not every day do I get access to corn carting members, so my combine should be stood up today, but we've decided to go for a late nibble. It's enabled me to just catch up with some grain, dry and process my grain. It's coming in dry now, so we are just a little bit, I would say that it's a little bit worse than that, so it's probably about 13.5%, but those yields are about right at around late 8s, early 9s, and we've got a nice view over HS2 in the background there. We've got a big concrete batching plant. So we have managed to make some progress. We're also really struggling with a traffic jam locally, and so my the one guy I have got on corn carts can't possibly keep up because he's just stuck in traffic all the time. So the vagaries of council choosing to do roadworks on school holiday, which is great for them and motorists, but not great for corn carts. One thing I am struggling with is the height of the beans and the height of the pods more specifically. This is variety Bumble. If you have a look, I'm not sure if you can see it, but they are just about below pod height. But I am going properly low. And one of the advantages of winter beans over spring beans is that we are combining them earlier in the season, so it's dry, the soil is dry, and we can get the header right down on the ground. And of course, because we direct drill all of our beans, it does enable us it gives us a much firmer, more level surface, and that's really helpful in a situation like this where you're chasing the beans down to the ground. Interesting, that was a pretty thick bit there, and the combine yield's gone over 7 tonnes, so that's quite nice. As you can see, not the thickest crop, and in fact this is not the thick crop that I filmed, this is elsewhere, but interestingly it's still achieving 3 to 4 tonnes a hectare for winter beans, which is better and spring beans. And that's interesting because we had written this crop off. We had decided to kill it and start again with spring bean. We couldn't because it was so wet in the spring, and we kept on persisting with the spring wheat drilling, so we never got round to this, converting this to spring beans. And now I'm really glad that we didn't. You know, that sort of yield, I think for the field we're looking at a field average of just over 3, which is sort of our long-term average for spring beans. So considering it's a really poor crop and I didn't have to go back and drill it again, really happy with that decision. So not very often that I get it right, but this time I have done. And we talked about the traffic jam yesterday, but actually that is why I'm combining the beans. Too much road movements for wheat. I still haven't finished my winter wheat, but it's too many road movements to get it back to my farm through traffic lights. So hopefully the traffic lights will be gone tomorrow and I'll be able to go back to combining winter wheat. So one more move, and this will be, it's an interesting block. It's the one I film quite often, where the winter wheat next to the spring wheat, both grown conventionally, and it marks and we're hoping to do both of them at the same time, and it marks the transition into spring wheat. It'll be our last bit of winter wheat. So fingers crossed we can push on, and traffic allowing, we'll be back into the winter wheat tomorrow. Thank you very much, more to follow. So we managed to dodge the storm on Friday night and made a late start on Saturday on some more X-Days winter wheat, our last block. Here are the results. You can see that possibly moisture was a little bit higher than picked up on the combine monitor, and I'm not quite sure why it's showing yield in kilos per hectare instead of tons, but as you can see, yields were slightly disappointing. It had died off early in the spring drought, but we got it just above 15%. So overall, getting near the end. We only have one field left. Morning everybody, Sunday the 20th of August, and as you can see I'm not in a combine. We did go combining yesterday. It was in the afternoon. It was about 16 to 17% with our last block of winter wheat X-Days. Yields weren't great. It's on that block of chalk light land, but we're pushing on again today, and I'm just taking the opportunity to go out with the aero and just apply some mustard as a cover crop. So it's just straight mustard I'm blowing on. So we combined this earlier in the week, and it had the straw taken off it. It's next to the bypass, so it's one of our development blocks, as you can see, right next to Stoke Mandeville Hospital here, and it's got plenty of new houses all around it. So we sold the straw. This is the one with the big straw yield, and it's not in any scheme for obvious reasons, so we don't need to go with a multi-species cover crop. We can just go with a straight, and in this particular example it's going into spring wheat, so we just want a fast growing cover crop. So we're going with straight mustard plus volunteer cereals, and we're just blowing it on with the Kuhn Aero. We're going at 6 kilos a hectare, and then we will stubble rake afterwards, just a scratch, and that should be enough to get the cover crop established. So I'm just trying to blow this on as early as I can after the fields have been cleared, really to give that seed soil contact, get it thinking about growing, and then even if we have to come back a couple of days later with the stubble rake to cultivate it in, at least the seed has been sitting on the ground thinking about growing. So fingers crossed we don't lose too much time. And this is particularly relevant in situations where we're carbon trading, because there's a lot of talk about gauging the size of the cover crop and using that to figure out how much carbon is being stored. So trying to grow a big cover crop will matter increasingly in the future. The other thing we're thinking about is, am I casting my mind back a couple of years now, where we had a 10-day delay in a block between broadcasting the mustard on, and it resulted in about a 2-foot difference in the height of the mustard. So every day makes a difference, especially in this sort of later season we're having this year. So thank you very much everybody for watching. The end of second week of harvest. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, click on the little bell to get notifications of when our next video goes live. See you next week. Bye.